Yes, sir. Commanders football is back. NFL is back. Look, we got some things to talk about. A couple things to talk about, man. I can't wait to get to it, man. The football season is back in effect, man. The Trap or Dive podcast is starting up right now. Trap it down. Trap it down. You gon' trap it down. Trap it down. You gon' trap it down. I just appreciate everybody watching.
Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
There it is. Let's get it. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Dive podcast provided to you by 214 Media. I'm your host, Marley Maul Jamal. AJ is checking in shortly. Dre, he has some family things to tend to, and he's finna be back next week. Let's get through the administrative items right quick. And whichever way you are listening, always be sure to rate, review, listening or watching. My bad. Always be sure to rate, review, or like the show. If you are new to Trap or Dive, man, make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It helps the show's growth, man. Look, we ain't that far away from 1K on YouTube, man. We could get the job done. We ain't that far away from 1K on YouTube, 1,000 subscribers, man. So let's try and make that happen. My bad. Almost choked on my liquor. I'm going to put in the work on my side, man. Y'all meet me halfway. You know what I'm saying? Let's get that thing done. If you are listening or watching on Twitter, always keep in mind, I can't see your comments on Twitter. Like the connection or whatever is just different. So like try to migrate over to Twitch or try to migrate over to YouTube, whichever platform you're comfortable with, all that good stuff. Last thing in the administrative items. Excuse me. The Washington Commanders morning show is coming to the Trap or Dive channel later this week. This Friday, the first show kicks off, but I'll be live each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern on Twitch and YouTube. So there you go again. Make sure you get your Commanders fix with the Trap or Dive podcast, and I'll be counting on your interactions, man. I'll have that show link in every show description so we can chop it up on whatever Commanders topic you have on your mind that early in the morning. Hey, look, it's grind time, man. Y'all need to wake up. You know what I'm saying? I'm up at 4:30 every day. Let's try and make something out of that. So yeah, Trap or Dive, Washington Commanders morning show each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern. Let me get the boy AJ in this thing right quick. There it go.
Oh no, wow, my shit is dark as hell.
Hell yeah, boy. How you feeling, AJ? What's going on with you?
I'm good, man. Can't complain.
That's good, man. I know you said this past week. Well, nah, it wasn't that busy. Never mind, I'm tripping. But I know you said you was busy one week, but I don't think that really got nothing to do with today. I'm over here bullshitting. How was your day though?
It's been cool, man. Can't complain. Just excited. We about to get some live football action going in about 24 hours or less.
Hell yeah. Hey, when cause I was just talking to somebody about the Hall of Fame game. Is that still on Sundays now, or did they move that to Thursday too?
I think they moved it to Thursday, so that'd probably be. Is that next week? Yeah, I want to say it's next week because those teams started camp last week.
Fame game 2022.
Trying to fix this camera.
Yeah, Thursday, August 4th. Oh, bet. Hell yeah. Next week. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. The Raiders and Jacksonville Jaguars. That's what I love to see, man. Because I knew they moved that joint from Sunday to Thursday, but I ain't tripping no way, man. I need that football back in my life. I don't care if it's goddamn preseason or a goddamn flag football game. Give me some football. I need that shit. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and get through the agenda right quick. This ain't really about to be too long of a show. There's a couple topics that we're going to touch on, and Ron Rivera did speak late this afternoon, I believe, but I'm gonna try to find anything of note. I've been on the move just like a bunch of other people, so I don't know what he said to this point, but I'll check in as the show moves along and see if we can find anything of note. But three things or a couple things that we're going to touch on in particular: Carson Wentz, Chase Young, and bounce back years needed from several players from the Commanders this upcoming season. So we have a couple quick hitting topics that we're going to tackle tonight to break in the training camp era or period for the Commanders in the NFL. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into that first topic, man. Carson Wentz is the biggest draw for everybody. Quarterback position is the most important position, and for a lot of reasons, there's mixed reviews. I know what side AJ is on. I am on the belief, formally. I'm gonna put that out there. I am formally on the side of that. I do think that Carson can work in Washington, but in terms of what degree, it varies. I think that he could be an above average player here. But let's get down to the nitty gritty and the specific question that we have tonight, AJ. And the question is, what should be the top objective or two that the coaches need to have for their quarterback, their new quarterback, Carson Wentz, during this training camp period? What do we need to see out of this guy? What do they need to see in order to say, you know what? I mean, obviously there's 17 games in the season now, but what do they say to say, you know what? I think I can trust him with X amount of plays or X amount of schemes or X amount of concepts in our playbook. The floor is yours. What's the objectives from the coaches?
I mean, I think the main objective is for him to trust his eyes and also trust the players around him, being able to, not try to play hero ball. That's kind of been his mentality since he's been in the NFL. Probably the same thing that he did at North Dakota State. I didn't watch any of their games, so I don't know. All I can do is go based off what I've seen of him do in the NFL, which is it doesn't matter what type of talent is around him. He tends to force the ball into double, triple coverage, doesn't take the dump offs, kind of want him to scale back a little bit, not necessarily be a game manager, but know when you can take those deep shots, when you can take those type of risks and be calculated in doing so. You don't need to take those type of risks every time you have possession of the ball. Like, you can ruin drives, you can ruin momentum, you can change the dynamic of the game by, putting your teammates out there to have to defend your mistakes that you're making. Because so many times in evaluation of his tape and me actually being at games, even just last year, even in the past as an Eagle, he's had a check man. Like, he'll have a running back in the flats or in the middle of the field. He'll bypass him to try to throw the ball 30 yards down the field in triple coverage. And that's how you end up making mistakes. And also being comfortable in either throwing the ball away or taking the sack. I think that's one of the main objectives they have to get to him, number one. And then number two is, being a leader, being able to, get along with your teammates and helping to rally the troops. That's one of his traits that haven't been really pointed out as being good. He has a lot of negative flack when it comes to that. At the end of the day, put this team in an opportunity to win some games, man. Like, that's the key thing. Because, I mean, if you turn over the ball at a high clip and, you buy into the system of really pushing the ball down the field that much, there's definitely going to be some risk and some reward to it. I think that's really what they have to harp on. But at the end of the day, I feel like he is who he is. You can't really change that player to be something else. It's kind of like telling Barry Sanders, don't try to create yards and have people miss tackles. Just run north and south. That's it. Some people have certain things in their game that you just can't take away from them, and that's made them who they are, and you just have to deal with those repercussions.
So you brought up a good point, in that the understanding of like the check down, and I mean it's been talked about 1,000 times, so I'm not going to talk about the history of that, but I think on a macro level, instead of talking about that specific thing, I think it's important to see that Carson Wentz is understanding of what Scott Turner wants to get done with this offense. Like, if he understands that, we want to press vertically, we want to make sure the defenses respect our space, respect our playmakers on the field, so we can try to open up anything underneath, whether it's screens, whether it's quick screens, whether it's running back rush attempts, trying to clear out that box and things like that. So it's a mix of whatever, but just understanding that Carson Wentz knows what Scott Turner wants to get accomplished and making sure that they're on the same page. I think training camp is going to be that important for them because, and also, before I even continue to that part, I think that Carson Wentz is in a situation where actually preseason game reps is, while it's not that important, I think it's important to get on the same page with some of those players that he's going to be working with throughout the season. So I think while you're not going to necessarily do a game planning throughout the preseason, I think that when you understand who you're working with, getting the feel for these guys and the in-game action, getting your feet wet in a sense, I want to see, or I think the top objective for the coaches is understanding that Carson, at the very least, knows what we wants to get done. We're on the same page in that regard, and that I trust Carson. I fully trust Carson at this point moving forward, that I can bring something to the table, and Carson Wentz is going to say, you know what, coach, I appreciate what you got going on. We're going to get this job done based on, how you dial it up. So I think that's probably the top objective, because obviously we know about the hero ball, right? And that's kind of where I was alluding to. Like, the hero ball is something that's been a narrative too, and the way he plays the game is phasing out what the coaches want done. And that's kind of the emphasis of understanding what Scott Turner wants and what he wants to get done in this offense, and understanding that having these playmakers is okay. You don't have to hold the ball for X amount of times, X amount of seconds in the backfield, in the pocket. You don't have to do that. So the top objective should be making sure that Scott Turner is comfortable with them and he can trust them moving forward. Willie T, you good? Hold on. I just want to make sure I checked in with Willie T. That's all, man. I see you, big dog. I hope all is well with you, my boy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, that's
in. Go ahead.
That's my family, man. Crazy. My mom and his dad actually grew up together in Liberia and worked together growing up as well. So today's my country's Independence Day. So happy 26, bro. But
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
funny. I know Willie T, he the one that gave my first blogging spot, like space to do some writing and stuff on my mind doing sports, man. That's what's up.
Wilson Top Pay, my man. So but I think what you actually mentioned about preseason is so important. I think this regime has tried to play it so safe in the preseason that you actually need your quarterback to get some reps. If Tom Brady is playing into the third quarter in some preseason games, why the hell isn't Ryan Fitzpatrick or whoever your quarterback is, in any team, not even just Washington, but especially with Carson Wentz, like, you're not going to really get a better understanding of him with this dynamic group until you put in live reps where he can actually be sacked, he can actually get hurried and has to get off script, things of that nature. So I'm hoping that they don't go into this offseason not offseason, but I'm hoping that they don't go into this preseason and try to limit the amount of snaps that he has in games, because they tried to do that with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you see, he played limited snaps in week 1 because of the injury. But even in the preseason, he did not look good because there was no rhythm, nothing. Nope. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it's very important that Carson Wentz plays at least 2 of those games, and now it's 3 games, so at least 2 of those games that he needs to play.
I
like up until
specifically
the third
remember
quarter.
that conversation with Doc Walker. Now I don't know if it. I think Dre was on. I think all three of us was on. I hope all three of us on. But I remember a conversation I had with Doc Walker, bruh. And one of the questions I asked, to your point about the offense, I said, bruh, I have seen this 1,000 times before, like in my head. So I'm like, there is no way in hell that people are going to sit here and tell me it's just preseason, like they're going to bounce back. I have not seen this offense convert a third down. I have not seen them move the chains in the red zone. I have not seen any sense of chemistry with these guys. And I asked Doc Walker, I said, bro, do you have any issues or concerns with this offense and their lack of production or lack of efficiency in the preseason? And we got and it's not on Doc, it's just the common sentiment with everybody. And the man said, bruh, it's just preseason. I'm not concerned about these guys at all. And I'm like,
Yeah,
bro,
right.
I didn't seen it too many times. And what happens week 1, AJ? These guys come out and look just as stagnant as they did in the preseason. And it continued on throughout the season until they found some type of rhythm, to whatever extent that was. They still were like bottom third in the NFL. So I to your point and to that story, I think preseason is important, especially when it comes to new pieces on the offense, like, or a defense. You have to get a chemistry with these guys. And even though people say practice reps are just important in training camp, I understand that, but game reps are important too, because you're playing against new people and you never know what the people across from you are capable of or what they're trying to game plan or what they're trying to work. So to your point, I 100% agree.
Plus, on top of that, even for Scott Turner, man, like he hasn't been calling plays for a long time. So he needs that repetition of getting in the groove and understanding Carson Wentz and the art of calling plays. You know, it's not just about dialing up plays, but it's about strategizing and being steps ahead and getting those different nuances. It's not like in preseason they're just playing man and that's it, and they ain't doing nothing. This ain't Pro Bowl, you feel me? It's dudes out there trying to make a team, especially with, you know, a game taken away in the preseason. It's dudes really out there trying to bust their ass and bust your shit. So you got to be on point. So that's why I feel like the reps is so important for Carson Wentz in this group, Jahan Dotson, even Curtis Samuel. Like, you can't be scared about what could possibly happen on the injury side of things. You really got to take the risk and push the envelope in and see what you can dial up and get them some confidence offensively, because this is also a new guy that they're unfamiliar with, and you want them going into week 1 feeling like, okay, like we see you could push the ball downfield or get creative outside the pocket.
Now, do you have any do you hold any merit to the conversations or the murmurs? It's been like maybe a day or two now, but do you hold any merit to these conversations that Jahan Dotson may be the one that comes out the gate quicker or has a better season, than Terry McLaurin? Like, how does that translate for two things? How does that translate for the player himself and Jahan Dotson? But what do you, from at least from your perspective and your profession, right? How do you kind of come to understand like the importance or the relationship between the receiver and quarterback throughout the offseason, and knowing that Terry McLaurin missed so much time with Carson Wentz compared to Jahan, who's a rookie and has from March until this point in time of the offseason, or the start of the season, to really work with Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal, or it's going to be that much of a difference. I think training camp will allow Terry to catch up so much further than what he could have in OTAs and minicamp with Carson Wentz. I just don't think that it matters that much. I think there should be some media hype and fan hype around your first round pick, no matter if they play guard, fullback, wide receiver. So that's all good and dandy, you feel me? I think one of the main reasons why Washington took Jahan Dotson is he reminded them, as far as even characteristics on the field and off the field, was of Terry McLaurin. So, I mean, you want to hear those good things coming out about him. But at the end of the day, to just sit here and say this rookie coming in is going to have a better season than the guy we just paid, $24 million to? I can't remember Terry's contract. Is asinine. Like, the fan base at one point was so mad that they even took Jahan Dotson at the pick that they did, and now people are sitting here going to tell me that he's going to have a better season than Terry McLaurin just because of some OTAs and a minicamp that Terry missed. Nah, it don't work like that. At the end of the day, man, just hope that your quarterback shows up and gives these guys opportunities, whether it be the Terry McLaurin's, the Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuels, Cam Sims, Diami Brown, and those running backs, Robinson, Gibson, and McKissick, opportunities to get creative with the ball, get some yak, different things, and just hope for explosive offense. I mean, when's the last time you really seen an explosive offense in Washington?
6 years.
6
years.
Yeah,
man.
so I mean, I don't think people should be sitting here thinking Jahan Dotson is going to have a better season than Terry McLaurin. If you really believe that, then we have an issue.
Hey, well, look, you never know, bro. Like that, the eyes that some people have had at camp. Excuse me, I hate when I say that. At OTAs and off season practices, they like what they see.
I mean, you went to an OTA like
I ain't gonna
you went to an OTA.
I went one time.
But I mean, in the day that you was there, you was like, damn, he gonna be better than Terry McLaurin during the season.
Oh no, I ain't say that. Hell no, I ain't say that. What's going on, Anthony? Rated Armstrong checked in, man. Anthony Armstrong, the good man. Congratulations if you're still in here. Congratulations on your podcast. I know. I think I listened to you on the Burgundy Zone and come to understand about your new podcast. Congratulations. And I'm happy that you're in this space now. You can talk all Washington. I'll be sure to look for it. Now that you popped up, it refreshed my memory. I'm going to go check you out and try to listen to what you got going on over there. I don't remember exactly where, but I follow you, so I can just find it. I can find it that way. But congratulations on your podcast. Congratulations on everything that you got going on, big dog. Again, appreciate you checking in. Yeah, man, it's an interesting conversation with Carson Wentz and Jahan, but just Carson Wentz in general too. Like, let's put it this way. I don't want to like harp on rumors and things like that. So I'll just ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, versus like, do you think he can or do you think he can't? On a scale of 1 to 10, like, to what degree do you think he'll be able to step up in a leadership role for the Washington Commanders offense? Understanding his history in the context with that, but like, what do you think his leadership ability is with this unit? Like, do you think that this can be a possibility where whatever opinions there was about him, like a new situation in which like the pressure isn't all on him, like there's a place where he's wanted, there's a place where they want to work with him. Is this something where you think that he can thrive in an environment where it's not necessarily solely focused on Carson, I need you to do everything for this team? Like, I guess I'll just go from there. What do you think?
I mean, I think it really boils down to wins and losses and his role in those wins and his role in those losses. Like, I think if he goes out there and he balls and he gets guys involved in the game, he makes some plays downfield or the smart play, gets creative outside the pocket and doesn't make bonehead mistakes like what we seen even just last year with the Colts, where he's in his own end zone and tossing the ball up for grabs for a pick six with 1:24 left on the clock of the game, trying to go down and win, or, throwing in the triple coverage on first down in the fourth quarter with limited minutes. Like, those are the things that he can eliminate from his game that can help him in the locker room. If he wins any balls, like, people will gravitate towards him. I don't even really think it has anything to do with his personality per se, but if he balls out, people going to be like, that's my quarterback. I rock with him. Like, he's doing his job. I mean, we've seen how some people in the team rallied around Taylor Heineke and he ain't do shit. You feel me? And he just put up mediocre numbers. So if Carson could put up above average numbers and win games on the offensive side of the ball, I think his teammates on both sides of the ball have no choice but to rally around him. So I just say point blank win, man. Be productive and You know, don't scale back some of that hero ball. It's cool to be a gunslinger. Don't get me wrong, but when you out there just throwing up punts,
Fuck it.
yeah,
Fuck it,
yeah, we got a problem with that. So
I got you. Okay, so let's get into the next topic. Ladies and gentlemen, Chase Young. Let's hear from you all that's here. Let's see what y'all got to say about Chase Young. What are you all's expectations for Chase Young and his return from injury? Y'all talk to us in the comments, in the chat, whenever you're listening. Let us know, what are your expectations for Chase Young and his return from injury. AJ, I'm gonna hand it to you first on this one. What are your expectations, yours, for Chase Young in return from injury? Obviously, too, should have mentioned this. In terms of recent news and updates, we do know to this point that Chase Young. Let me actually bring up all of these tidbits right quick. Let me see if I can pull them quickly. Actually, it's on my profile. Here we go. Yep. Tyler Lawson, Chase Roulier, Logan Thomas, and Chase Young are all starting the training camp on the PUP list. So physically unable to perform, they're starting off there. So Chase Young isn't even playing or active right now, but obviously assuming when he comes back, if he comes back to start the season or if he comes back in the middle of the season, the floor is yours, AJ. What are your expectations from Chase Young when he comes back from injury?
yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because even when he was healthy, I don't think we really got to see a full scale of what this defense can be with the right scheme. So, I mean, my expectation when he comes back is, I think he's going to start off a little bit slow because if I'm not mistaken, this is Chase's first injury, like major injury in his football career overall. So, he's going to have to get back to trusting his knees, trusting his strength, his speed, all of those things. I think it boils down to, just relying on his technique, and maybe he's tweaked up some things with counter moves and whatever the case might be. But I really don't know what to expect from the defense overall because it is being led by Jack Del Rio. I think he's washed. So it's kind of hard, like, for me to get excited about that because even when, Chase was healthy and the rest of the guys were healthy and they had the depth at D tackle with Ioannidis to settle, you just really didn't see them get after it like you would hope for. Put aside the fact that first round picks, whatever, because there's more guys in the league that are day 2 picks and day 3 picks that make up these rosters than first round picks. I just think that the scheme just doesn't really help for me to predict what someone could do. And then when you get guys like Booker McFarland saying a guy coming off a torn ACL is going to have 20 sacks, like it's like a sabotage. It's Bush League for someone on a major platform of that nature to say that of a player coming off of an ACL. We don't even know if he's going to be ready for week 1. You
so he did
20
say
sacks.
He put the caveat in there in terms of like if he was coming off fully healthy, like to start the season, but even still.
But what from any film that you watch indicates that he's gonna have 20 sacks. You feel me? Like it's just insane. But yeah, I think it really boils down to how Jack Del Rio calls his defense and if he's truly adapted to what his players do best and the position that they put him in. Because there's gaping holes at the depth of D tackle. There's also holes in the cornerback depth. There's also still the same looming questions about the linebacking court. And all these parts work hand in hand. Are we going to see more zone? Are we going to see more man? Like, I have no clue. So until maybe week 1, week 2, probably be able to give a better idea of what Chase is going to be able to do within this defense and also Sweat and the rest of the boys.
My expectations is pretty moderate with Chase. I think if he was coming back from anything upper body, I will probably be more direct. But moderate, I think is fair for me when he's coming back from an ACL injury. and understanding that he also came back from an ACL injury like mid or late November, sometime in November for sure, but mid to late November, something like that.
Yeah.
So understanding like what his injury is, when he sustained the injury, and the typical timeline to come back from it, and then the typical timeline to feel 100% again is something that's also talked about. That's not talked about.
I mean, but
enough as
I
well.
also think like in football too, guys is never 100% either. So
No, when I say I understand that. I'll say when I say feel 100%, I'm saying
okay,
like to the point where you're
he's comfortable
trusting.
coming off the injury.
Yeah, that part. So for me, when it comes to Chase Young and expectations coming back from his injury, I actually think Colin, and I'm glad I pulled that up there. I appreciate you checking in. Is more so understanding the science of football, and understanding the science of responsibilities as well. I don't. Somebody asked me today, I think, if not yesterday, like, what are we seeing with that front seven, that front four, defensive line? Oh, it was yesterday. I remember it now. Okay, so he had asked me like, I was talking to him about the Commanders and Chase Young in particular, and I said, when people tell you, or when the media tries to tell you that Chase Young, because it's the common name that people assume that Ron Rivera was talking about in his pressers, his post game pressers, his training camp pressers about maturity and people not playing within the scheme. It was not just Chase Young, and I showed a clip against the Atlanta Falcons where we was in a 5-man defensive line, and they were playing. They were going up against the Atlanta Falcons, obviously, and they were doing reach blocks. In a sense, I think it was a zone. It was a zone run to the outside, like a wide zone run. I think they used the toss play in particular, but Deron Payne is playing the nose tackle, zero technique, and the first thing that Deron Payne does off the line, obviously, when you play that 2-gap front, AJ, you or when you play zero tech, you have that 2-gap front. You have 2-gap responsibility. He has both A gaps. He has double A gap responsibility. And the first thing he did when they ran the play at the snap of the ball, he vacated his gap to try and make a play in the backfield. And that's so when I put that play out there, the response was like, is that on Sam Mills? Who is that on for somebody to respond like or to play like that? And again, when I showed that one clip, it was multiple plays. Like I've seen it from Matt Ioannidis before I put that clip out there. I seen it from Deron Payne before that play, before I put that clip out there. And Chase Young did the same thing, and I understood that. But I only say that to say that defensive line in totality had moments where they all played for themselves, trying to make a play and not playing within the scheme, but also not even identifying the proper the run blocks that they were up against. Like, you have to understand these things. You have to understand how to defeat a reach block. You can't play selfishly. And when you vacate a gap as big as that was, you better be glad that Cole Holcomb and Kendall Fuller made a play for you, and Montez Sweat to that degree. Jonathan Allen, because these guys saved one play from being a potential 30-yarder because Deron Payne vacated its gap. So in all, I say all that to say, expectations for Chase Young, I want to see the gap integrity. I do want to see a rush plan, an improved rush plan, because it's not just him. Again, when I go back to these guys, these edge rushers, they're majority power. Like, they don't really have the hand movement, the use of hands to really show some expertise, and it's kind of good to see Chase Young do those have those practices or those sessions with Von Miller, because Von Miller is a more complete pass rusher. He's able to beat you with speed. He's able to beat you with power, but he also has hand moves to kind of counter the offensive lineman. And it's interesting to see that meeting, and hopefully Chase Young can implement something from their lessons or their sessions and moving forward with his game. But I just want to see him with gap integrity and a rush plan. The plan is important. And if you can get him with a rush plan, and have him not vacate or just simply abandon his rush lanes, I think you're in good shape to begin with because it's showing that he understands the science of football and he's trusting his teammates to make a play as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I seen the clip that you posted, and of course, I watched the games. I think it's a combination of the two with Jack Del Rio's team and what he's asking of them, and Sam Mills just implementing what is being asked of Jack Del Rio. That's why I said I feel like we're never going to see the full potential of this defense until they bring in a different defensive coordinator that can be a bit more innovative with these guys. A lot of times when we speak about Jack Del Rio's expertise at being a D coordinator, we focus on that Denver Broncos crew that had Aqib Talib, Bradley Roby, Chris Harris, Darren Stewart, TJ Ward, Von Miller, and other guys. Those are above average players, most of them. And especially at the corners, you just named 3 athletic corners that also know the game in and out, high football IQ. After he left Denver, his defense that he's called, whether it be as a DC or head coach, have been shit. And it's continuing here. And I just feel like they're just doing what they're being taught to do. And that whole defense had issues, whether it be the corners. You've seen William Jackson looking confused for majority of the season until after the bye, things adjusted. You've seen how they didn't use Landon Collins properly, just a bunch of things. So that's why it's kind of hard to sit here and predict what production Chase will have, because I just feel like they're not even being utilized in the right type of scheme and system. Because when Warren Sapp came here, what was one of his messages about the D-line? He was saying that they needed to play more. They needed to play together. And was he focusing on 2-gap? I can't remember what he exactly said, but he said something about the gap integrity. Yeah, he was speaking about the gap integrity. Look for it
while you're actually talking, but go ahead.
Yeah, speaking about the gap integrity and just playing as a unit. Because at the end of the day, if the communication is not there, then how can they really all play together? And that's where I thought they was gonna upgrade at middle linebacker to kind of get the guys aligned together correctly and reads and calling these plays. But that didn't happen. You're bringing back the same exact staffing, and we're sitting here expecting different results. It's kind of hard to bring back that same failing team and expect something to happen differently. Like, what's going to change with their mindset and their ideologies when it comes to the game of football on the defensive side?
It's a pack. If y'all are going to hunt together, y'all will eat good. But the lone wolf dies. No wolf eats by himself. But the pack, you don't want it nowhere near you. The worst 3 words in football are "we got it" or "I got it." You ain't got shit in this game. You better work on it. Let me see what else. Yeah, that's it. But Sam Mills did have a comment. He just mentioned on focus areas of improvement. He said that maturity, growth, and understanding of the system is something that he wanted his guys, his unit to focus on. So, yeah, that's what Warren Sapp had said a couple of weeks ago in mini camps. Okay, I did forget what the hell I was about to follow up with Jack Del Rio. So you mentioned Jack Del Rio a few times, and your response about Chase Young and expectations and statistical expectations as well with Chase Young. AJ, let the people know as we head into the season, as we head into training camp, why is Jack such a? I mean, I know you kind of outlined it, but I want you to because we were more so talking about the defensive line, and that's what the primary focus on. But why do you think that Jack Del Rio is somewhat of a problem? Like, for example, in the spaces you mentioned that you think that they're playing the wrong scheme up front. Like, you think that this is a 2-gap defense and not a 1-gap defense. What are some of the things that you think is bothering you from saying that Jack Del Rio is actually doing a good job here in Washington?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that there's no innovation. I don't think they run enough stunts. I don't think that they get creative enough with their ends as far as Sweat and Young switching sides and giving the offensive line different looks. Um, I just feel like guys aren't really being put in their best position. I don't think they blitz enough either. I think they don't blitz. I'm curious to know the analytics on how many times they blitz in the season compared to teams around the league on the defensive side of the ball, but they didn't blitz enough. I feel like if you knew that Jamin Davis, for example, couldn't take on the blocks at middle linebacker, use him as a blitzer. He's pretty athletic. He can get after the quarterback. I think too many times he relied on the front four to get to the quarterback, and instead of being creative and helping out that pass rush and the guys on the back end, he just continued to just have the front four try to get after the quarterback. And it's many times that we've seen nobody got home because these guys they're just, especially the D tackles, they're just pushing up front and getting really no movement. There's no execution behind it. They're literally just not doing any moves, anything of that nature, no stunts. I just feel like with Jack Del Rio, if he can get out of the way of being stubborn and being creative and understanding what his guys do best, that can make the defense better. But, I mean, I don't really know that much has changed from talking to guys on the team that play on the defensive side of the ball. They said they're doing the same exact thing from last year.
So if there's one thing I would push back on in that, not that your conclusion is wrong, but I think that the misstep was in the analysis, in that they don't run enough stunts. I think that they do run some stunts. Enough would be up for debate. I'm still on the side that I don't think they ran enough, but I do notice because I just about 2 or 3 weeks ago I just started trying to learn specifically about Del Rio's defense versus like the film that I'm watching across the league. I would have to dig further into it, like, and watch every single stunt, but I don't think that these guys are even that good in terms of being able to work together to complete the stunts and twists in the line games. I don't think they were always on the same page. I don't think that they executed.
I mean, if you ain't getting
in a timely manner,
if you ain't getting reps at doing it, it's hard to be good. Like,
hold on. All right. Well, look, you
can
practice these things, AJ.
You could practice them, but that means they're not even practicing them to even implement within the game plan for the week. So, like, I mean, we're talking about guys. I can't really say Montez Sweat, for example, because he went to Michigan State. You're talking about Ron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, that came from the best D-line coaches and systems in college football overall. They've done everything. They've run so many different types of defensive fronts and stunts and all these things. I just feel like we didn't see enough of that. I didn't really see too many corner blitzes. I didn't see a lot of blitzing overall. Even when they knew the pressure wasn't getting home, you still didn't see them adjust and say, "Hey, let me send more guys." Like you watch more of this film back. Me, I watch some of it back, but like I look at the games live and I'm just seeing what I see with my eyes. I'm not seeing a lot of blitzing. I'm not seeing stunts. I'm not seeing opportunities to maybe get Chase Young on a guard instead of going against a tackle and maybe Allen or Payne switch off. Like, I'm not seeing those things.
Yeah, and I would say this much. Like, I do say, I watch, but it's always important to say, like, unless we're professionals, it's still subjective. Like, but just like, as long as you watch film and you trust what your eyes are seeing, if you come to a conclusion, it is what it is. But I do acknowledge that film is subjective. I do trust my eyes, is where I'm getting at. And what I say, like, in my response, I think I do understand what you're saying, AJ, but I think my conclusion is it's not when it comes to specific line games, specifically that. I don't think it's all a Del Rio thing. I don't think it's all And actually, to be honest with you, I don't think it's all a Del Real thing, but I think the question can come up like, how can Sam Mills identify the flaws and why these stunt games, why these line games aren't always cohesive enough to get the job done? Now, I did post some on Twitter that were successful, but I think I didn't show for obvious reasons, and I should have done it, but I didn't show for obvious reasons the bad side of why or why most of these weren't really getting home. But and that's kind of where I'm getting at, is just saying that it wasn't all a Del Real thing when it comes to specifically line games and trying to get these guys free. I do think it's a good idea, but I also think that there can be something up front that we don't understand. Maybe it's the defensive line coach that's not communicating well enough, maybe not teaching well enough, but it also may be the fact that these guys simply aren't accepting or understanding the timing and the importance of being able to be a crash man and being physical. I know Matt Ioannidis wasn't physical enough when he was the crasher. I don't even remember seeing many times where he was the looper. I know Deron Payne was. I know the edge rushers were. But in terms of a crash man, like some people weren't necessarily that receptive to knocking down the defense, the offensive lineman who they're supposed to crash into. So I know we're being real technical with this, and I'm being real technical with this, but I do think that my overall point is more so about the personnel, but also the position coach in this regard. Like, I think that we need to understand how it's being communicated, and also what is the gap in terms of communication versus execution. But I don't think that's a coordinator thing. I ain't gonna lie to you on that one, AJ.
Yeah, I really wish that we could have had them on Hard Knocks. I think that would have showed a lot. Like, of course, like I had my conversation with certain guys on the D line, but if we could have got that glimpse in the Hard Knocks to see how Sam Mills is as a coach, that would have been amazing to get that type of content. Maybe they'll add Washington as a team for end season. Yeah, because I mean, I think that'd be key for the fan base and just a lot of people to see how they're going into the weekly game plans and coaching staff. Because I mean, I took away so much from even like the Colts doing their end season, aside from, you know, working with a guy on the Colts and representing them. And I could just see the disconnect between the defense and what was going on with like the D-line coach, the D coordinators. You could just see that they weren't putting guys in their best positions to truly succeed. So I'm hoping for that, just as a little tidbit.
Hey, you're not the only one. I heard some people talking about it actually earlier today in the Twitter Spaces. By the way, for people on YouTube and Twitch, if you're listening, and the podcast platforms, Apple, whatever, Spotify, whatever, be sure to make sure you follow AJ and myself on Twitter if you ain't doing so, because we are starting to use the Spaces as another medium to just chop it up with everybody and have these commander conversations. So make sure you're following us on social media, on the Twitters and stuff like that, because those Spaces do be
on
jumping.
The Twitters.
On the Twitters. That sounded old.
That sounded old as hell. On the Twitters. Follow us on the Twitters.
On the Twitters, man. Make sure y'all do that for us, man, and check us out on those sides, because those do be jumping, man, and we're going to try to find a way to broaden, I guess, the audience there and have more engagement that way. So yeah, YouTube, Twitch, make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. But I said that to say I don't remember what the fuck my point was. But let's transition to the last subject, AJ, and get up out of here, man. The returning player that has the most pressure on him to step his game up, and to get the ball rolling in terms of or players. Obviously, we know Curtis Samuel had an injury-riddled season last year, a mystery injury-riddled season last year. Jamin Davis was a guy who obviously underdeveloped or underperformed as a first-round rookie last year. Questions are about him being overdrafted and whether he was worth that pick, at that first-round pick. versus where he was initially projected prior to shooting up in the draft board. Obviously, William Jackson came around, didn't play too well. There was other players. Who's the other first year players in Washington that was struggling? Can't think of none right now off the top of my head. Those are the main three. But the floor is yours because I may be missing some altogether. AJ, who are some returning players? And actually, now that I think about it, returning can just mean anybody on the team that was here last year. So it doesn't even have to be year two. But who are some people that has the most pressure to perform and to step their game up?
Yeah, I think this might be in history the first four-way tie ever. But I think it's Jamin Davis, Curtis Samuel, Dyami Brown, and William Jackson. I think
Jesus
those
Christ.
four. No, matter of fact, I'll take away William Jackson. I'll put Antonio Gibson. I feel like we need to be able to see what Dyami Brown can do on the field with someone that has arm strength. If he can create the separation and make plays and be a contributor on this team, being that he was a third-round pick wide receiver last year, alongside with Jamin Davis. Can he be competent in a different position outside of playing middle linebacker? Can he really use his athleticism to, play the run, play the pass, and also, possibly defend these tight ends and running backs in the flats or different parts of the field? Then alongside with Antonio Gibson, just the fumbling, being able to run in between tackles and piles and using his vision a bit more to hit these gaps. I think that's where it's like, Curtis Samuel, like, can he be on the field? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like he put up crazy numbers when he was with Carolina and when he did play, but if he can be on the field and be a weapon and utilize, his skill set of like the Percy Harvin type of package, Deebo Samuel, whatever the case is, and do these jet sweeps and screen passes and, make some plays happen after the catch, like that'd be an amazing addition to this offense. That's where I feel like it's four players all tied in the same position, that not same position as far as groups, but just four players in general that all can fit this mold of the question that's being asked.
Now, you mentioned Dyami, right? And I think Dyami is probably a good name to call out, but I think like, how are you weighing, I think that's better. How are you weighing his 2021 season? But also, what is a bounce back for a person who presumably would be the fourth receiver if everybody is healthy? So what does a bounce back season look like for Dyami? But also, in relation to his 2021 season where he had injuries, and then I don't want that to be the first thing. I take that back. But he had an up and down production season, but then injuries took place. So a mix of uncertainty about his projection moving forward. But like, what does that bounce back season look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just being a contributor. I mean, he's now in a crowded wide receiver room, but at the end of the day, we also don't know if Curtis Samuel is going to be healthy. So that's why he's one of those guys in the forward that were mentioned. If he's not healthy, it'll allow Dyami Brown to get more touches and get more involved in this offense as well. And adding his skill set, what we know them to be coming out of college, which is a burner, alongside Terry McLaurin and Jahad Dotson. So I think it's just let's see him, get open, make some catches, possibly some touchdowns. Let's see him be a role player, like create your niche for yourself, being that you might be the 4th, 5th wide receiver within that depth chart. But at the same token, we can't sit here and count on Curtis Samuel to play even 2 games at this point. So we don't know what we're getting in that. Like, at the end of the day, you just want to see that if any of these guys did happen to get hurt, God forbid, whether it be the Jahad Dotsons, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, whoever, that you also have a guy on the roster that can fill in and contribute.
Well, since you took 4 goddamn names, I'm gonna take what Alex said, and I'm gonna say Antonio Gibson. Man, that's actually a really good point. I've said this in some spaces. Excuse me. Damn, I need more liquor, bro. I said I said this in some spaces, and I believe I said this on a podcast recently as well. I am of the belief that if Brian Robinson is able to, and I'm gonna use this quick example. This isn't no real numbers. This is just for the sake of this conversation. If Brian Robinson is able to take, say, well, AG actually had 240 something carries last year. So let's say 240, right? If Brian Robinson is able to take 120 of those carries, then I think that Washington is in a good shape and get a good deal for the running back position, being able to maximize Gibson's effectiveness, but also give a guy a running back who has better vision, who has the natural instincts of a running back, who's quick and being able to read certain run schemes and run fronts, defensive fronts. I think that somebody that effective coming out in year one as a rookie is going to be beneficial to this offense. But to Alex's point, where he thinks that Gibson has a lot to prove, and why I agree with him, is that you mentioned early on, right? AJ is his fumbling issues, but also I think that his vision and his instincts isn't necessarily where it needs to be. Now, credit to him, this offseason, I believe he lost 6 or 7% body fat, and I think that's important for a person who plays running back like him, because I mean, look, if you can be quicker, if you can be a little bit more leaner and muscular in terms of being able to take on hits, but also being able to move a little bit quicker with your body weight. Because I don't know, typically, like, when you can lose body fat, you can still pack on more pounds and things like that. So I say all that to say, like, if you can pack on the weight or lose the body fat and be a little bit more quicker or whatever, however which way it works for you, I think losing that body fat is something where it's what's the word? I'm trying to think of damn, I'm drawing a blank on the word. I'm gonna get this word.
Yeah, I can't even help you because I have no clue.
Yeah, no. I'm by myself right now. I hate when this shit happens too. Like in real life, I'm the person that I can't even move forward until I figure out what the word is.
I guess I'll start going with the Jeopardy music.
Yeah, do that. And it's still killing me. In something. I quit, bro. I quit. Take the pressure off me. Take the pressure off me. Oh my God. Hey, that stuff is so. I swear to God, I'm gonna come out with a tweet later, and I'm be like, this was it. This was the word that I was thinking. Intangibles. Fuck.
God damn. We waited 2 minutes for intangibles.
Oh my God, bruh. The intangibles is something that when something like this happens, when you have that body fat decrease, that percentage decrease, sometimes these things, you can't really account for on face value, especially a person like me or anybody else who doesn't really deal with like the science of the body. But a person that plays running back to that degree, when you lose that amount of body fat, like 18% is where I'm at. I'm at like 19 now that I think about it. So I'm not even a professional athlete. This motherfucker is a running back at 18%. So I think that those are some things that we can't really foresee right now, but we'll know when he steps on the field, like what it's able to do for him in terms of shedding that amount of body fat. So I agree a lot with what Alex is saying in terms of Gibson has a lot to prove. And I think part of actually acknowledging in terms of on Gibson's side and in terms of the coaching side is that, one, the coaches drafted Brian Robinson in the 3rd round. And then 2, Gibson understands, like, you don't lose that amount of body fat in an offseason if you think you're satisfied with where you're at. Like, you had some work to do. So I think, Alex, you brought up a good point, and I'm gonna keep giving credit to you on this one. Gibson has a lot to prove in terms of moving forward in 2022 and stepping his game up. So I think a trio with Gibson, Robinson, and McKissick can do wonders for this offense from a run game standpoint, play action standpoint, and maybe designed passes to the running backs. That can also help these guys as well. So I'm in full agreement. And Colin, stop laughing at me, man. Look, sometimes I struggle too, bro. I'm not perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really big for Gibson because if he doesn't ball out, he's not going to get an extension here. Even though he got another year remaining on his contract, but he's not going to get an extension here if he don't ball out because they definitely drafted a replacement for him. If this regime stays here, they definitely drafted his replacement if he don't get it together.
Yeah. And to be honest with you actually, you know what? I want this conversation to be yours. What is the percentage now for those when he responds? I don't take his percentages literally, but I want to get a ballpark of where he's at. You know, AJ has more skin in the game than I do, and you know I leave it in that regard. But AJ, like, what is the percentages as far as you know where you see nowadays running backs or even certain skill positions reaching those second contracts with the team that they were drafted by?
I mean, it's very hard for those guys to get second deals. But Gibson's in a position where I think he was like a 4th round pick. Those guys typically will get that second deal if they end up being the starter and can carry their weight. I mean, we've seen it across the league with a lot of these running backs, whether it be the Le'Veon Bells, the Alvin Kamara's, trying to think. Even Derrick Henry was a second round pick. A lot of the top running backs in the league are second or later picks. Aaron Jones, I want to say Jonathan Taylor got drafted 1st round.
Keep going. I'll let you know.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys that we consider top running backs in the league. Dalvin Cook that were drafted outside of the 1st round. So it just really boils down to the success that you. Okay, yeah. So like I said, the top running backs in the league traditionally have not been 1st round picks. So those guys typically can get a new deal. May not be astronomical numbers, but you know, if you ball out and you show up, like, you can definitely get paid. I just think Gibson put himself in a bad situation with the team. Well, not the team, but Ron Rivera and staff when he started the fumbling and hitting such a high clip and not really showing that he's hitting certain goal gaps or whatever with his vision. But that's also, you know, due to them putting him in a position to now be starring in a position that he wasn't familiar with coming out of college. I think he only had 30 carries at Memphis at running back. So it also is due to coaching too. Like, but Randy Jordan is a pretty good running back coach. So I think it just really boils down to Gibson to really show some emphasis and some like extra oomph, like, yo, this is my job. Ain't nobody taking shit. Like, I don't mind giving Robinson some carries here and there and McKissick. But at the end of the day, RB1 is mine.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Colin, I do see you, big dog. We are out of here, man. But again, we back, man. Football is back. Everybody's in the fold. Tribal Dive, man, is back full time for us. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we have the All 32 side of Tribal Dive podcast. And if you didn't hear the announcement early on to start the show, the Washington Commanders morning show, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern on Twitch and YouTube. So make sure you get your Commanders fix in the morning with the Trapper Dive podcast. It's going to be you and me. It's going to be us. Make sure you chap in, man. I'll have the show links in every show description so we can chop it up on whatever Commanders topic come to mind. What's up, AJ?
Hail to the Commanders.
Oh my God.
Hail victory.
I was surprised. Bro, I didn't think they was gonna go that route.
Man, they lazy.
Didn't think they was gonna
I already knew they was gonna go that route. Like, they're paying people over there to do nothing. Like everything is so lazy, bro. Like if you're just gonna ask the fan base to vote for shit for everything, then why do people even have these jobs? Like you put up a list of 90 players for fans to vote for, and then you don't put 7 players on the list. Then you do let's vote for these songs. It's like, who are you really trying to reach here? If you're trying to reach a younger fan base, don't nobody want to hear no Before Christ theme song. Like, don't nobody want to hear that. Like, get away from anything.
One thing about the 90 players, bro. Like, we understand RG3 had a great 2012 season, right? But do you know how detrimental that'll be to your list if you allow the fans to vote him in on the top 90? Like, do you know how or I wouldn't say disingenuous, but the fact that you have a guy like that who had one season on there, but you put him in your top 90 players of all time for one season.
But I mean, I feel like he should be up there. I feel like he should be up there as an option to vote for. If I can vote for Mike Sellers, why can't I vote for RG3 even if it's just one season?
Hey, look, I get it, but look, I'm gonna tell you this right now, and people gonna jump they fucking stuff they nose up at me, but I would rather put Mike Sellers in than RG3. And here's why though. I respect, like, when you're doing a top 90 greatest list, I will respect a person or organization that has players with longevity, that has history to the team. Now I understand the emotional side of RG3 being in for one season and what he meant to the team. If you saw him at his full potential, if you saw the team at its full potential with RG3 leading us, and that shit was magical. But I'm not comparing the two players like directly, but I'm saying what Mike Sellers did for the team for X amount of years, for numerous years, versus what RG3 did for 1 year. I think that the list can get tainted. That's the word that I was thinking of. These words.
It's gonna get tainted when you're sitting there trying to pick 90 players, like from the 30s, 40s. Like, how many people could you really pick? Like 90? That's what I'm saying. Everything is being done in a lazy fashion. Like they shouldn't give this up to the fans to vote for. They shouldn't be 90 players. Shouldn't be voting for a theme song where you just remove Redskins and put Commanders and
think about the new decade, bruh. Like when the 100 players come through, like the 91 through 100. Like, who's gonna be on that list?
Right. Then you're sitting here, you're about to have fans vote for a mascot. Like, if you want the team to be publicly owned like the Green Bay Packers, just go for it. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, you're asking the fans to do every single thing instead of making the right decision. And then you already betrayed the fans' trust when you had them go through this whole process of a name change and voting for that and submitting stuff. And then you pick the weakest name, Commanders. Like, that's so basic. Like, that is a generic team building Madden if you were ever to create a team. Like, it's just like, at the end of the day, I don't know what's going on over there, but none of the things that they're doing is attracting the younger fans that are going to grow up to continue to root for this team and love them. Like, everything is so old fashioned and bland. Like, you're not even really seeing a true rebrand here. Like, there's nothing exciting that's being done. Nothing. Like, it's just I mean, I come from a marketing world too, so it's like I just don't get it. It's like, if I'm gonna allow the fans to vote on everything, god damn, like what is my team doing?
What do you stand on if you allow the if I understand inclusion, you understand transparency, but what do you really? Hey, bruh. What do you really stand on if you allow the fans to have the final say on everything that you do? And I 100% agree and understand what you're saying, man. It can get frustrating. And it can get you can start questioning, like, do you understand the lane or the path that you're going down when you allow the fan base to direct you in whichever way that they want to direct you? Because fan bases aren't stable. And if you open up, like, and I'm not saying everybody is stupid or smart. I'm just saying you're never going to get a consensus because there's so much varying opinions within a fan base. So what do you as an organization stand for? And that's kind of something
and you're opening the door for people that aren't even fans to vote on something that will have something to do with fans. If you put it on a public website, anybody and their mama could go on there and vote.
Yeah, no bullshit. That's the same
Like, you
thing
just
that
making
happened when they asked for name submissions.
Yeah,
like,
you just making a
everybody's gonna
mockery.
do something.
You making a mockery of the team. Like, how about no fight song? Like, who the hell needs a fight song? Like, this is 2022. Like, just go out there and win some fucking games. Like,
That's
care about no
what it
damn
comes
fight
down
song.
to.
And even when I watched the presser today, they asked Ron Rivera about the fight song. He didn't even know the options. Like, he was like, I hadn't heard it.
Good, man. He focusing on football. That's what we all supposed to do at this point. Focus on football. And to your point, AJ, when you talk about the youth or the younger generation, it all comes down to winning at this point. Because if you ain't, it don't matter what the hell you're doing on the side to kind of get these guys involved. But if you ain't winning, then it don't really mean shit for us or for the team itself.
Yeah.
So,
like, you got a male cheerleading team. Like, bro,
they got
ain't nobody going to no game to watch no dudes jump up and down cheering for a team, bro. Like, oh, it's just so frustrating from a marketing standpoint because there's like so many opportunities within this major market to make this thing really look good alongside if they win, and it's just a failure. It just sucks being a lifelong fan and seeing how they're maneuvering with this rebrand.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, look, training camp is here, man. Football is around the corner. Tomorrow, you'll get your first actions of everything Washington Commanders. And then tomorrow night, all 32, but I'll be back again on Friday with the morning show. We're going to check in and have all training camp updates, man. Maybe even do an interview to start the thing off. I don't know. We'll see, 7 a.m. different time. You know what I'm saying? We on grind time out here. So who knows if anybody want to fuck with us in the morning.
You going live at 7 a.m.?
Hell yeah. 7 a.m. Look, I'm up at 4:30 every day, AJ. I'm up at 4:30. So that don't mean nothing to me. Like when I send those text messages to y'all,
okay, sports junkies.
Chat, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, sports junkies.
Early text messages, bro. I'll probably be up for. I probably already been up for like 2 hours. So it is.
I will not be up at 7 a.m. But good luck to everybody that will be checking in with the Trap or Die podcast in the morning.
Yeah, people gonna be.
God bless y'all.
You know what I'm saying? They're gonna need something to tap into. I'm there. But with that being said, man, we're gonna go ahead and tap out. Last thing, man, the quote of the week, man. The hardest truth about hope, it makes you continue, and it makes you suffer. That's from Maxime Lagisi. I probably butchered her last name, but Maxime Lagisi. So yeah, we out of here. Y'all be safe. Enjoy y'all night. Enjoy y'all day. Whenever you're listening, peace. I'm in the wrong. Oh, there you go. Boom.